Hey guys, it is Esti and Justin from Not For Long Media.
If you like the video you're about to watch, be sure to like the video itself and subscribe to our channel. We'd really appreciate it.
Enjoy the video and also don't forget to follow us on our socials at Not For Long Media on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook.
CT, what's good, my guy?
Here he is. What's going on, man? We'll roll right into it. Is that cool with you?
Hey, yeah, I'm all good.
What's going on, man? What have you been up to?
So, actually, I just got out of a session of having like 20 or 30 needles kind of just going down my leg.
Little dry needling, huh?
Yeah, some good dry needling. You know, it's good for the soul.
Can you explain that? Can you explain that to our listeners what that is?
So, dry needling is a technique that honestly I used to hate. So, the first time I ever dry needled was at Notre Dame. Put it in my back, and they were pulling out those like sharp knives coming out of my back. But like as I like understood it more, basically like it's going into like tense or tight muscles, alleviating it through this like kind of acupuncture type of method. And then also we use like this stem along with it that like helps like pulsate the muscle too. And it just, like I said, makes me feel very tired the first day, but after that I wake up fresh, rejuvenated, and ready to go.
Yeah, it's cool, man. It's a huge part of my recovery process too. I get needles once a week done in season, work those knots out at the masseuse. The masseuse
once a week. Now I'm not a once a week. I don't like needles that much, but I got to do it for this recovery. So it's been good for me.
The great Troy Pride Jr. is in the house. We're excited to have him, and like we like to do on Not For Long Media, we just roll right in. I always tell my guests we're not catching up, we're not doing anything, because I've been a part of so many interviews where we talk for like 20 minutes off air, and then all of a sudden we don't have anything to talk about. So thanks for coming on, man. I appreciate you. Where are you at right now?
I'm in Eagan, Minnesota, which is the gritty Midwest.
So you're freezing your ass off.
Yeah, it was like -20 one day, and then it was a snowstorm the other day. It's getting a little bit better right now, you know, like getting into March. But like I said, the gritty Midwest for absolute sure.
That's the gritty Midwest for sure. Talk about what you've been up to there. I know you're not just hanging out, trying all the great places to eat up there and ice fishing. I know you got some rehab going on.
Yeah, so I've actually been at the training house. It's in Eagan as well. It's right next to kind of the Vikings facility, but it's they're like knee specialists up here. You know, they're like the real. Okay, well, let me preface that with August 15th in our first preseason game, I tore my ACL. Unfortunately, obviously a big injury. You know, obviously it takes very delicate process to kind of come back from this. So that's what I've been kind of working towards. I've been, you know, training heavily, rehabbing heavily, making sure that, you know, I'm doing the right stuff to make sure my quad, my knee, my ankle, my calf, everything is working in tune. And honestly, we're going downhill on that process now. So
I love that, man. That's great. That's great news. Now, why Minnesota, right? There are knee specialists up there. They're the best in the country.
Yeah. So I also got my surgery from the doctor in this area. So it was just like perfect. So I get the doctor that did my surgery that I can go and talk to. I'm actually going to talk to him tomorrow. And then I've got, like so many like like literally that's all they see is knees. Like they know the intricate details of it. They know, okay, if this is tight, you need to do this to change it. I got this pool noodle right here. This has been a lifesaver to kind of like release my joint. Like just like small, like little details that they've just helped me with, like understanding kind of my body as a whole, alongside just my knee. So
that's great, man. That's awesome. No, I remember we were in Indianapolis, and you went down, and you know, guys always pop up, right? And then until you don't pop up, if you're comfortable, can you talk through what happened? I know you probably don't remember a lot, but it was a tough and scary situation there for a little bit.
Yeah, so it was pretty intense. So I gave up a play, had the wind knocked out of me. And I came off the field, and, you know, I'm coming off the field kind of like a little upset, obviously. You know, it's preseason, but, you know, I'm a competitor. So it's like, let's get back at it. So I'm sitting there, I'm like, you know, I might just let this drive go by, and I'll come in next drive, you know, restart. But, like, this is a competitor. Emmy was like, absolutely not. Like, I got to go in there. I got to make the stop to make the play. So I went back in. Through about one set, we were running a specific type of coverage to kind of beat the route that was ran. but my help kind of wasn't there. So I ended up trying to, alleviate some pressure from him, undercutting the route. My safety came down, hit me as my knee was planting the ground. So I popped my ACL, got a little bit of my meniscus. And honestly, like I was in shock. Like at first I didn't realize it. Then when I started to realize it, I was in intense, like very, very intense pain. Like first of all, the pop was something I've like never heard before in my life. And then like I was in such intense pain, like I was trying to walk off. And then I told the trainers, like, just put me down real quick. Like, just like, let's stop. And I ended up going down and then passing out. So I passed out on the field. I wake up and like, I'm like in shock again because I'm like seeing the trainer. I'm like, what are you doing? And he's like, do you know where you are? And I was like I looked around and could see like the field grass, or not the turf. I could smell the turf and I could see like the sun coming into the stadium. And I was like, oh, shoot, that actually happened. Like, I'm actually realizing that, like, what happened again. So then I get on the cart, everything's fine. I'm just like, just hoping for the best. We go do a little bit of x-ray. The bone was fine. And then as I'm, like, trying to get back in the training room or the training office again, I passed out again. Like, weak in the knees, on the ground, like, people are, like, having a dead weight carry me. And it was pretty intense, and it was scary for my parents. It was scary for everyone surrounding me because like they didn't know anything and I couldn't go text them and call them. It was just kind of like I was dealing with this scary situation and then they're fielding thousands of calls of everyone saying, hey, he just got hurt. What happened? What, blah, blah, blah. Like my brother had some lady calling him out of nowhere like, oh my God, did you not just like, he was like freaking out because he wasn't even watching the game. So he's like, hold up, like what's going on? So it was a pretty intense situation. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Did we ever figure out why you were passing out?
I think it was just shock. It was shock from the pain. Something foreign was happening to my body. Like I was literally like I said, I heard the snap, and it was like. So I don't know. Like maybe it was dehydration too. It was like all of the above, but like they all worked together to have me pass out on the field.
And folks, so Troy is like one of the fastest, if not the fastest player on our team in Carolina, one of the fastest men in the NFL. He is a fine-tuned athlete, a much different athlete than the rugged Jeep Grand Cherokee that I am. So,
I love that. I love the description. That was
Troy's definitely like a Lambo. He's a race car. Yeah, I've been able to, get close with Troy, just like every teammate. Troy was a couple lockers down for me. And, I've been through a bunch of different injuries. So Troy came whipping in the cart and we've always talked, and Troy's just got such a level head and a great spirit to him. And that's why I wanted to have him on. But, Troy, I wanted to circle back to where it all began in Greer, South Carolina for you, town you grew up in. And all of a sudden you're playing, one state to the north, the team of the Carolinas, the Carolina Panthers. But I want to go back to you, your youth, your family, talk about growing up there, talk about playing sports as a child, talk about the community, what it's all about.
Oh my goodness. So yeah, Greer for me is, everything. Like, so kind of growing up, like I'll just kind of start growing up, like it wasn't like huge football. Everything wasn't like, catered and tailored. It wasn't a football town. It wasn't Allen, Texas. It wasn't, but the community cared heavily about, athletics. So me kind of growing up, like I didn't really realize it until I really got to high school and playing for the Greer Yellow Jackets and seeing the tradition that came with was like kind of everything for me. And just seeing how much they loved it. And like, I remember the first kind of realization of how much college costs, and knew that I never wanted my parents to have to burn that load. And I knew that it was going to take specific work for me to do that and to get a scholarship and to, have my grades right and do everything just to be that, to get out of this, situation, but also achieve my dreams of playing the NFL. So with that, I just, like I said, put the work in, the dedication that my parents instilled in me has obviously paid off. Running track and playing football has been, everything that I've done, and it's allowed me to get into these blessed places that I'm in. But, I have to think the A64 Greer High School because honestly, another motivating factor was there had never been an NFL player to come out of my high school and play in an NFL game. Like, there's been guys that went and, got, different opportunities and maybe like a workout here or two, but to play in an NFL game, be on an NFL roster, I was the first one. So that's like something so special to me. And then for it to be an hour and 30 minutes away, but I can still go back to Greer and have a kids camp. I can still go back and be a keynote speaker at a different event. I can still, help the community because it's right there. Like it's so special to be from there and then to represent, to be the guy that, that they talk about, okay, like if there's a kid at Greer High School right now, I want to go to the league like Troy Pride Jr. Well, hey, I'm tangible. I'm there so that you can see me. Like I'm not this figurehead that is a myth and no one knows about. I'm right there with you.
That's such a special thing, especially, coming to Carolina, and Carolina really tries to market and hit home that they're the team of the Carolinas. So to go, up the street really to a team, and now we're, a couple of years, you'll still be there, but a couple of years, you're going to Rock Hill and you're going to be literally in South Carolina living and working is something special. I transition here. You won some state titles back in the day in track, no?
Listen, Colin, that was my mom still to this day wants me to like try to do some Olympic trials type of stuff because I was honestly like, I think that for a second, I was just as good as track as I was in football.
Okay.
Now I love football. That's my baby. That's everything that I've always wanted to do. But like track has been great too. So track has always been my baby, and my mom still, wants me to try some Olympic trial stuff. But in high school, yeah, for sure, I was a prodigy. Like I won the 100, 200, 400, 4x1. Could have ran the 4x4. Had the best split in the 4x4. Would have, done everything. So I love track, and I was watching the track championships this past weekend, looking at some times, and it was just like, dang, like if I really dedicated myself to that, I think I could have been in something like that too. So
your mom's right. Your mom's probably right. You need to go back and do a little Olympic training.
Well, I got to lift. I want to stay weight. I want to cut weight. I don't have to do any of that. So I'm trying to, I like this football dream a little bit better.
Jeff Demps, I was at Florida. I never met Jeff, but I know he did both. And as it's a little bit different, maybe as a running back in his position, he could be able to do it, but you're trying to keep weight. I respect that. No, I when I was doing a little research on you before, I was like, man, this guy won some state titles in track. Did you get recruited in track at all? Did Notre Dame ever say, hey, come run track too? Did anybody give you an offer?
So I had a couple offers from some different schools. I was Virginia Tech wanted me to run track and play football on scholarship. So did NC State. There were a couple other schools, like smaller schools that were like full track scholarships, stuff like that. Cool. And Notre Dame actually didn't have that for me, but I walked onto the track team myself, and I was like, I'm going to do this myself. I just want to. Like, so I was in there running the 60 and the 200 and in the 4x4, and I was, like I said, putting times down. My freshman year, I got third in the 100 outdoor. My last race actually for the track team was a 4x4 when I split like a 45-6 400. So yeah, track has always been my baby. I'm not even gonna lie to you.
I love that, man. I love that. The only track meet I've ever ran in was a 4x4, or no, what was it? A 4x1, right? Where everyone runs 100 meters.
Yeah.
A 4x1 throwers relay, and they 8th grade they put us in there, and I was our finisher, of course. And
I'm about to say, yeah, that's dope. So
I ran that puppy.
How did you finish though? Was everybody woo?
Listen, man, this is an 8th grade middle school track meet in Upper Bucks County, Pennsylvania. There may have been 20 people watching the race, man. This isn't a track meet in Greer, South Carolina, or at Notre Dame, or at the South Carolina State Championships that you ran at. So a little bit different vibe at the throwers relay at Tohickon Middle School in Upper Bucks County, Pennsylvania. So you mentioned Notre Dame. We're going to get to Notre Dame. Hold the phone. But talk about the recruiting process for football. Talk about the coaches, the phone calls, the recruiting trips. How did that all go down?
Oh my goodness! So my recruiting journey was a little weird. Like I wasn't this 5-star guy from my freshman year. I was, like I said, super small, fast, just started playing cornerback for real my junior year of high school, like exclusively cornerback, because before that I played free safety at like 155 and just running around, hitting everything I could see. But so my recruiting basically started my junior or the end of my junior year, kind of going into my senior year. My first offer was Virginia Tech. Coach Torian Gray offered me and, believed in me. And like I said, that set everything up for me, to be honest. I eventually committed to them because, like I said, I wasn't big on the process. I wasn't this guy that was looking for attention. I was just trying to play football and make it to the league. So Coach Gray, sent me the offer. I committed to him. And then Coach Beamer announced that he was leaving. And throughout that time, like I said, while I was committed for probably about 6 months. Teams were talking to me. Notre Dame offered me, and they were showing a lot of love. They were, courting me, as well. But I was like, I'm not even taking a visit. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I'm committed. Well, when Coach Beamer announced he's retiring, I basically asked Coach Gray, like how, sure are you that you're going to keep your job? Because, I'm committing to you, to be honest. Like, I knew other people, but I'm committing to you. And he, couldn't give me a straight answer. And I'm like, I can't play around with my life. So I ended up decommitting and opening back up everything, which, brought a whole bunch of other schools. Meanwhile, this entire time, neither one of Clemson or South Carolina have offered me yet. Like the home state schools, like these guys are an hour, 45 minutes away from me. Neither one of these schools offered me.
Troy, I had the same experience at Penn State. I was devastated. And you know what? I probably wouldn't even have went there, but they offered like 4 guys out of state first. And I was the number 1 ranked tight end in the country.
Like,
I was pissed. I'm like, how does that even happen? How do you not try to win your state? I didn't mean to cut you off, but I know how you feel.
That's,
and then like
that's
teams
100%.
like Rutgers and Boston College and Pitt, they were like my first 3 offers.
Mm-hmm.
And I was so jacked up, but I was just like, what the heck? Like, all right, why'd you wait? And, I was actually right when everything was going down with Coach Paterno. So, that is what it is. But continue. South Carolina.
Like, it should be the first priority. Like, and it honestly like hurt me at first because it's like, come on, like y'all could have came to my spring game and saw me. Y'all could come to any practice to come see me. Y'all could have came to track me. Whereas I had other schools flying in, coming to talk to me. And I'm like, that's cool, but never met Dabo. Had the luxury of meeting Muschamp when he first got there.
Oh yeah,
he was a great guy.
He was my coach at Florida, man. He recruited me, and that's why I went there. I started at Florida. I don't know if you knew that, but I was at Florida 12 and 13, and then I finished at Temple with Coach Rule. So I was lucky, man. I had Coach Muschamp. I had a bunch of injuries for him, which sucked, but he was good, man. He was a good recruiter. But so then, SC offers you when he comes in. That was probably right behind me. Yeah, that makes sense. 15, 16, I'm looking here is when you were getting in the mix.
Yeah. So it was right then. Yep. And he came in and he like I said, was great about it. He was like, look, we want you, we'll recruit the state, blah, blah, blah. But, I'm still like, come on, like, okay, now y'all are offering, that's great. But Clemson, like, and this is Deshaun Watson's Clemson too. Like they're on the rise. Like they're ready to go. So I'm like, look, see what we can make happen. Like I might stay, close to home, being a little purple and orange. And I have to share a funny story about that when we get to talking about Notre Dame too.
Because you probably played them later. You faced them later.
Yeah, we did.
Well, hold that phone. No, tell the story, Troy. We don't care. Tell it.
No, so yeah, I'll just skip ahead because basically, I ended up choosing Notre Dame. Best place for me. Knew that I wanted to go there. Academically, athletics, couldn't beat it. Loved it there. But our best year at Notre Dame, 2018, we're undefeated. College football playoffs. One of the best games I've ever played in my entire life. Playing against Clemson, playing against, those guys that, like I said, didn't recruit me that were from my state. And I had reporters coming asking me questions from South Carolina. I'm like, how do you feel that, you're playing a hometown school, but they didn't really know you or they don't know you? And it kind of like ate me to my core. So like I said, probably one of the best technically games I played as a corner. It wasn't like a huge stat sheet stuffer. It wasn't one of those. It was like I was covering everyone to the best of my ability. I was locked in. Like I didn't hear any noise. it was like, red eye, like sniper. So, yeah. And so after the game, like, so we got beat, 30, like 3 or something. It wasn't a great game,
I
but
remember.
we got beat. But after the game, the DB coach comes up to me, and I knew him because eventually he had offered me. He was like, it's my fault that we let you get out of state. And I was like, bruh, like, like, don't tell me this now. Like, so I'm mad you just beat us already. I already knew that y'all played me back in high school, and I'm trying to get y'all back. And now I get this chance to show y'all that I'm the real deal. And I should have, y'all should have touted me higher. And you're gonna tell me that, like, it just. And then there's a really funny picture of me like shaking Venable's hand, and like with like this straight like kind of mug face. It's kind of like, and I'm just dapping him up, but I'm knowing that like, bro, like, I mean, who knows if I actually would have went there, but like for y'all to have shown that love could have meant everything, So
No, it's all it is, man. It's all it is. And it's funny. Sometimes I always tell myself like, which I don't want to coach. I want to coach, but I don't want to coach because I know about the grind and I know how hard it is. I know these college coaches. I know these NFL coaches. It's a serious grind. People ask me all the time, what would you want? I said, I'd like to revise it a little bit. If I was a head coach, I'd revise it and, maybe get in earlier or leave earlier. I don't know. I would, work a little bit less hours on, and be around kids. It's hard to do.
Yeah, exactly.
It's such a competitive business, man. Everybody's doing it. So, but yeah, where was I going with it? But the real point of it was for me is like, if I'm ever a head coach, like that will never happen. That will absolutely never happen. It's like, how do you even, everybody in the state should be taken care of. Like if you just win your state, you're going to be really good. And especially in premier states like South Carolina, Pennsylvania has a ton of just top end talent all the way through it. Even North Carolina, ton of talent.
And that's what I'm saying.
I played with a bunch of guys.
I get going, picking Florida, that's great, but like it means more too. Like they're usually like the best players for so South Carolina had Marcus Lattimore, he was a South Carolina guy, I mean, and just
but the thing is, it bleeds through, right? It bleeds through. So Marcus Lattimore, his high school team, all the studs that come there, their first thought is South Carolina, instead of your high school team, the first thought is Notre Dame, so it's tough. And for me, Florida, Kyle Pitts went to Florida too. We're from the same high school. So, there's a lot of, we're going everywhere because at the time Penn State was down a little bit with what was going on. They're not where they're at now. Obviously they're doing really well over the last couple of years for sure. So no. So why'd you pick Notre Dame though? Was there something about the recruiting process that you enjoyed? What other schools did you visit first off?
So I visited around. I was in North Carolina. Virginia Tech stayed in my top 3 just because, like I said, I always had that tie to them. NC State was a good fit. I actually didn't even take all my officials, unfortunately.
Neither did I. I took one, Florida.
I only took 2. I took Notre Dame and NC State.
That's my regret, Troy. That's a regret. I was all worried about being loyal and all this stuff, and exactly. I should have just took them. But we were too good. We were too good, Troy.
I would tell anybody that.
Yeah. We were too good, Troy. We played state title. We won the state title. We went all the way to December. They didn't have many official visit dates left. So no, I'm kidding. But very blessed. Played a lot of really good guys, and a bunch of us got recruited, and it was a blast. But so. You took a little bit, you took that, really 1 or 2 official visits. One of them was Notre Dame, I guess. Just talk about the recruiting process by Notre Dame and your, the process of going to the premier football and academic school in the country.
So one thing was my recruiter, who was a Notre Dame legend, in Autry Denson. I think is the all-time leading rusher or all-time touchdown leader, one of the 2 there. But so for a guy like that to sell Notre Dame to you is everything, especially to like, an impressionable young kid. Like you see this distinguished African-American gentleman that speaks fluently, accurately, like has everything that you would like want in a professional individual. Went to Notre Dame, succeeded from Notre Dame, went to the NFL, came back to Notre Dame, and is succeeding in recruiting other guys. Like it was just like, he was the best for me, like, and him talking to my parents, because at first it was just him getting a relationship with my parents. Then it was like getting a relationship with me, and it's like just made me feel like family. that segued to me meeting Todd Light, who was the corners coach there, who was also a Notre Dame legend, top 5 pick, All-American, national champion, that went there and came back. And it's like that. They just showed that like Notre Dame obviously like brings their people in. Like they're going to always look out for their own. It's a family there. They're going to make sure that everyone's taken care of. And then I guess they play great football, and then academically can compete with anybody in the country. Like, yeah. So putting all that together, even as a young kid, was like, I got to do this. Like, this is where I need to be the best me that I can. And I think it was one of the most mature decisions I've ever made.
No doubt about it. It's definitely a mature decision it takes, you know, to go to that school. I've been there. I visited Troy. They did not offer me, full disclosure. I was absolutely livid. Absolutely livid.
Oh, yeah.
I had 25 offers, and they were the one I really wanted. But yeah. You know what? It wasn't the right fit. It worked out for the best. They said I was too big, Troy. I don't know how that's even possible.
As a number 1 tight end in the country?
Troy, I was 6'4", same size I was now, 255. So I was a little sloppier then. I was big. And everyone's like, he's going to grow into a tackle, right? And I just didn't. I just stayed at 255. I just put a little weight on, probably a little too quick, but I put the weight on, and that's how our high school program was. But, you know, long story short, I got in the elevator. The tight end coach was like, we want someone who blocks like Colin, catches like Colin, physicality, you know, can run all the routes, do all the things that needs to be. Look, you know, history of Notre Dame tight ends, you'll fit right in.
Yeah.
So we get off the elevator. I was so jacked, man. My dad's like, boom, you just got an offer from Notre Dame. Let's go. And at this time, I probably had 10 offers. South Carolina, Tennessee. It was a good, you know, all the local ones, like I told you. I think Penn State may have been in the mix, Stanford. And then it ended up, like, after they didn't offer me, boom, it like took off and ended up with a bunch and played.
But like I said, and like sometimes your blessings come from people, like I said, not valuing you. So
it was all good, man. It was all good. I have no regrets, no ill will. I get to play with the great Tommy Tremble now and get to hear all the stories. Do you have any Tremble stories that you can tell on this broadcast from playing?
See, I don't think anybody realizes kind of how weird Tommy is. I don't even know if the team does yet, but like I knew Tommy from his freshman year there. So first of all, I know how weird he is, but like Tommy was honestly made into the guy he is by Coach Long. Like, if he's ever told you the stories of like how much he pushed him and worked him, and some of it was extra, too much. Like some of it, Coach Long me and him would have had words. But like for Tommy to like go through all that and be the guy be the athlete he is on the field, the tenacious blocker that he is on the field as well, and like mold himself into the player that he is, it's a testament to him. But one of the weirdest guys I've ever met, I can promise you that.
You got to give me something from college, because I got plenty from NFL, but you may not be able to tell them all in here. That's the problem.
Yeah, I can't. That's the thing. I can't tell.
Yeah, you can't.
The weirdest. If you need to interview someone, interview Tommy Tremble, because he's one of the weirdest dudes.
I explain it this way. He is the best teammate, the hardest playing teammate for his teammates on the field. The most loving, caring guy. Like what he shows on film for his teammates, the guy's nuts. Like,
yes,
and he plays with unreal energy and motor. The way he sweats, he's soaked, absolutely soaked. I'm like, Tommy, what? Or like he eats like a full meal like 10 minutes before practice. I'm like, oh my God. Bro. As the guy who has to like do everything right to just perform at a medium level to compete in this league, he does almost everything that I would not do and not suggest, and he kills it.
Bro, but that's just him. Like, I mean, his genetics are obviously good, and he's got to learn that extra step too, just as I did, because I kind of was like that too. You just walk out there and do whatever. But I think like you said, like what you see on film is what you like. That's a teammate. Like that's a guy that you'll go to war for, because you know he's giving his all. Like he's going to do everything he can. If like I said, if you watch his Notre Dame blocking tape from his last year, like the dude was a dude.
Troy, so I had family texting me like, hey, is there anybody you like worried about, like the Panthers drafting that could kind of take your role, you know, as that third guy, fourth guy? And I was like, I don't think so. There's not a lot of guys in college football that are blockers, you know, that can do some of that stuff. maybe they develop into it throughout their career. Most young tight ends come in as pass catchers and some physicality, and then they develop it and become good blockers. Usually not the other way around. So he got drafted, and someone texted me, he said, "Oh, I don't know about that one. That's not good for you." I'm like, "What do you mean?" I looked, and I'm like, "Oh my God, I didn't know he was ready. I didn't know he was eligible because he's so young." First off, he got drafted at 20.
Yeah.
But he was the one guy, and did eventually, to some extent. He was already going to play over me anyways, but regardless.
But still, no, but Colin, the testament to you though is, and I remember when this is a story about you and me. I don't know if you remember it, but it was early on. We were on kickoff return, and like this was kind of honestly like, this is how the NFL is. When I was messing something up, and you were like, "Look, you got to come right here," and I'm not supposed to tell you this because, like you could take someone's job. Like if I'm coaching you, I'm coaching you to take my job to some extent of that. And I was like, wow, like, first of all, you could have just been an a-hole and been like, whatever, and let me rock out and mess it up. But like for you to like teach me and then tell me that and like let me know like, hey, this is how the ropes are. I knew that, like I said, you're always going to be successful in what you do because first of all, you keep that worker mentality. You are a great teammate and have helped young guys and done things like that. So regardless of who was drafted, you still made your opportunity happen and was on the team and made it and rocked out. So
man, what a guy! I'm not even paying him, folks. I'm not even paying him. I'm going to put him on the payroll. I appreciate it, Troy. Thank you, buddy. Let's transition to some of your fond moments in Notre Dame. Then we'll hit the NFL and we'll wrap things up. You played in some big games there. You played with some great guys, some great teammates. Can you name some of the guys you enjoyed playing with the most, and then talk about some of the big wins you guys had there at ND?
So when I talk about teammates, the first guy that comes to mind is like competition, and that's Chase Claypool. So, he and I, our senior years, had to go at it. Like it was, me and him. Like I don't want Chase to have to go against anybody, and he didn't want to have to, do anybody else in because, it was, for us, that was our best on best. And, I love that because, it helped me to understand things. Like for a while, it was like, damn, like, this dude's so big, like fast too. It's like, how do I kind of maneuver this? Like I'm used to being able to run with anybody, but like when you can't get around them because they're like, wingspan is everything. You're like, dang, like it took like a analytical mind to kind of figure out, okay, I got to kind of study his movement. I got to study these patterns. I got to do this to get ready for somebody like that. So great team that I played with, great guy. He was on special teams. He was, he's a rock star in the league too. And then I definitely got to shout out, all the guys from our secondary. Like we developed from our first year being 4-8 to at this point 5+ 10-win seasons. For us, it was 3 straight 10-win seasons, including our first playoff appearance. And like our guys, J Love, Jalen Elliott, Alohi Gilman, Dante Vaughn, Houston Griffith, Tariq Britt, like so many guys that like Sean Crawford that like put in the work to make us a top 10 like passing defense too. Like, and that's what I kind of pride myself on is like, individual accomplishments, that's great. I only had like 1 pick my senior year, but like our passing defense was elite and everyone worked together to do that. Like sometimes I was in man coverage by myself. Sometimes the safety is sitting here having to guard 3 all the way if he wants to go all the way down the field. Like it was, and we worked so well together to do that. And I think that's like what I appreciate most. Because I mean, the league is a lot of change, a lot of discourse, a lot of mixing and matching. Whereas like I was with those guys for 4 years grinding, and we did it. Like we made it. So yeah, man. Like I said, I love my teammates, and I'm obviously a compassionate guy, but those are like my brothers for real. Like gonna be at my wedding. I'm at their weddings. I have them at my kids' camps. We do everything together.
That's what it's all about, man. That's what it's all about. That's awesome to hear. There's nothing but like those college connections. All right, a big game in Notre Dame that sticks out to you. A big win for you guys. Troy started as a true freshman too, folks. So it's impressive.
So my biggest and favorite win was the first game of the season, 2018. This is our special year. Michigan came to good old South Bend. It was a green out. This is the loudest I've heard our fan sections student section, everybody. That's the loudest I've ever heard it. My first game started, like, or not like that year, but like I was the man at this point. Like, this is like, look, like you're going out there, you're staying out there. Like, there's nobody else for you. So that was like my, like, all right, this is my time to really prove myself and see who I am. So Michigan, they came to our house. We were kicking their butts, and then they ended up like coming back, and we had to like fight it out and gut out a win early on in the season. Like, this was like our biggest test in the first game. And that was like a huge win for us. And then that season ended up being so special for us. We ended up, playing. Like, I think those were probably our biggest games. I mean, we played Georgia here and there. Those were great games too. Didn't come up with the victory, but the ones we did come out with the victory were like 2018. That was the one.
Yeah, man. What a great place to play. What a great environment. What an awesome experience for you. And I can't wait to see what you do this year on the field. So you go down, obviously we talked about the injury, you missed the season, but you were still involved. You were still there every day. You were around the team, playing that dumbass boxing game that everybody plays in the locker room that I'll never play. Cause first off, I don't want to get addicted to it, Troy. That's why I don't touch a video game anymore. That's why I got rid of my video games, Tommy Tremble.
I can respect it. Yeah.
I don't do it, man. I'll be there. I won't stop. I just want to compete at it. So I trash the video games. I just laugh at you guys with the game. First off, who's the best in the locker room at that, other than yourself, of course, who puts some respect on their name here publicly?
So, and it's hard to just continue to give credit because, sometimes people take it too far and they think that they're the best, but, I can give you, the best four. Christian McCaffrey's good. He's solid.
Bravion Roy.
I'm gonna put Bravion in there. Shaq, good player as well. After that, let's see.
That's it, man. Don't give too much credit.
Like I said, Terrence Marshall too. I can't forget about Terrence. He and I have some battles, so I can't wait to get back at it. To be honest, you just reminded me of some grudges that I had. So.
Okay, good. We wrap things up here in Carolina. Obviously you didn't get to play, so there's not all those moments in the field, but you're going to have them this year for sure. Who are some guys in the locker room that have meant a lot to you through this recovery process?
Just talking to my vets, like so Stephon Gilmore. Like when he came in, he's an all-pro. He's a player of the year. Like
he's the best guy, man.
Getting out from him, AJ Bouye, our DBs, seeing them flourish and ball. Seeing Chin continue to be the athletic freak that he is, and then like I said, so being there, like I think that's like such an underrated part of when guys get hurt, sometimes they just disappear. But I had the luxury to actually be there, actually still be in the locker room, actually see Itur Gross-Matos start to come out as a dominant player. I got a chance to see, like I said, Stephon be a pro every day and be a lockdown corner every day. I got a chance to see JC. Even though he was hurt, watching him throughout camp and learning things like, hey, let me use that for my game here, or let me do that. So I think that just as a whole, being around the team was just like something that really helped me. Like because you can get lost a lot of times, like your mental can get swayed. But I think that, like I said, being around the team, being around Gus, being around Jaquan. It's just great. Like, it's just great to kind of hear from those guys. And I can't wait to actually go back. Joanne Perry, too. Great. Joanne, if you see this, I love you. So
yeah, they will. Everyone will be listening to this one. They'll be finally tuning in now, and they'll be like, why haven't you had me on yet? Where's my hat? Where's my clothing? Well, you got to come on the show. You come on the show, you get some swag. That's the rules.
All right. So look, it's lit. I can't even I'm glad that, like I said, you've given me the opportunity to share a couple of my stories, CT, man. I appreciate you and your knowledge and how much, like I said, you've given to me in my short career. And I can't wait to rock out soon here in OTA.
It's going to be fun, man. We're about 7-8 weeks away. Looking forward to it, man. It's going to be a great time. You're going to have a little Not For Long media hat hanging in your locker when you get back. I appreciate you coming on, Troy Pye. Good luck with the rehab process, brother.
CT, love you, brother. I'm going to catch up with you.
Appreciate you, bro.
All right.